In this lesson, we're going to learn how to create a basic t-shirt and learn how to do top stitching and sleeves. So this is the t-shirt that we're going to try to draw. Again, you're going to label it with the project name and your personal name. And then we're going to create front and back technical drawing for the t-shirt. You're going to save it as family name t-shirt in Adobe Illustrator format. And then you're going to submit it through your assignments tool as a part of your Adobe Journal, which is due on June 10th, 2020 by 10 p.m. Please make sure that you have 3 layers. So you're going to have Judy layer at the bottom, front and back layers. The drawing should be proportional, symmetrical, and the lines have to be smooth with top stitching that is parallel with the garment edges. Okay, so let's start drawing. So the first thing is go to your Adobe Illustrator software and then go to File, New. To start a new file, I'm going to click on Print. I'm going to click on Letter Size. And then I will click on the Portrait Orientation. And then I will click on Create. So here's my artboard. What you are going to need to display today is layers, stroke, pen tool, reflect tool, and pathfinder. So you can go to window layers to display the layers. You can go to window stroke to display the stroke palette. You can go to window pathfinder to display the pathfinder palette. And then you already know how to get your pen and your reflect tool because we've done it before several times. So first I'm going to place my Judy template. So you go to File, Place, then you scroll down until you find your Judy on your USB or your desktop. I will click once on my Judy JPEG. I will then turn on the template box, and then I will click on the Place button once. So this will automatically create a new layer for my Judy. It'll make the Judy semi-transparent, and it's also going to lock the Judy. At the same time, the computer created a new layer for you. And now, with this new layer currently being selected, I'm going to double click on the layer name so I can rename it as front. I'm going to double click on the template layer, and I'm just going to rename it as Judy. So before you begin, you are going to make sure that you have the front layer selected, and you're going to make sure that you zoom in, Control plus or the zoom tool, and then you can start drawing. So we're going to preset our line to be no fill, so I'm going to select no fill, and black stroke, so I'm going to pre-select black stroke, and I'm going to select 1 point. So now I'm pretty much ready to go. So it's very similar to the tank top, but we are going to add the sleeve and the top stitching. So you'll learn a few new techniques today. So the first thing is I'm going to put corner point on the neck, corner point just before the shoulder ends, corner point in the middle of the armhole but a little bit lower than the middle, then another corner point at the armpit area but a little bit below the armpit, and then I will put my last point at the hem. So somewhere around her underwear line here, I will click. So now that's it. To make it stop, you press Command and you click, and then the line will stop. So if you use the white arrow, you can double check where you have your points. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So you should also have exactly 5 points as well. Next, I'm going to leave all of my corner points as they are, but I'm going to convert the mid armhole point into a smooth point. So in order to do that, first I'm going to click anywhere on the line so that the points will become visible. Now I can see easier where they are. Then I'm going to click on the Convert tool, and then using the Convert tool, I'm going to click and drag going down on top of the mid armhole point, and I will let go once I'm happy with the shape. So right now I'm happy with the shape, so I can let go. Before reflecting this, I'm going to add the sleeve. So to add the sleeve, you're going to use the white arrow, click on the mid armhole point, and then go to Control C to copy that line segment, and then Control F to paste that line segment in the front. And then you're going to go to Command J. This is going to join the 2 points. Next, I'm going to add 2 new points along the new line that I just created. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see what's happening. So I'm going to select on Add Anchor Point tool and then add 1 point here and 1 point here. This is approximate because we're actually going to use the white arrow to then move those 2 points down in order to create the sleeve hemline. So the sleeve hemline can be approximately here. Please refer to the original I gave you and try to make the sleeve length and shape approximately as similar as you can to the original that I gave you. So this looks pretty good. Now the only problem is I've got pointy shoulder here. So what I'll do is I'll select the black arrow, click and drag to select the entire drawing, and then I will click on the round cap and round corner. So this way I'm going to get rid of the pointiness that I had in my shoulder before. So now it's okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is copy and paste this to the other side. So in order to do that, I'm going to use the black arrow, click and drag around the sleeve and the side seam and the shoulder, and I will select all of it. Then I will click once on the reflect tool. Then I will press Alt Option key down, keep it pressed, and then I will click once in the middle of the center front Judy line to define the axis. Once you click, a dialog box will show up where you're going to click on vertical and you're going to click on copy. So now you're done, you've got copy on each side. Our next step will be to connect the bottom 2 points. So as you know, the fastest way to select these 2 bottom points is to use white arrow, and then you click and drag a bounding box, a selection box around those 2 points. So now those 2 points turn black, and then I can hit Control J to connect. Same thing on top. You're going to select those 2 points on each side of the neckline using the white arrow. So I use the white arrow, and again, you can use Shift and then click on each point, which I think is slower, or you can use the white arrow and then just simply click and drag a selection box around those 2 points with a white arrow. They turn black because they're the only 2 points that are currently selected. And then you can go to right click join, or you can hit Command J. So now we have joined top and the bottom of the t-shirt. Next, you're going to reshape the hem a little bit to make it a bit more curved. So I'm going to use the white arrow, and now I can see where my points are. So now I would like to add 1 more point right in the middle. So I will use Add Anchor Point tool, which is the pen tool with a little plus, and then I will click once in the middle in order to add that midpoint. After you add your midpoint, you're able to use the white arrow and then drag that midpoint just a little bit down. My last step will be to convert this midpoint into a smooth point. In order to do that, I'm going to click on the line with the white arrow so I can see where my points are. Then I will click once on the Convert tool, and then with the Convert Anchor Point tool, I'm going to click and drag, going to the left in order to turn the point into a smooth point. When the directional handles come up, you can press Shift in order to constrain them. And there you go, now I have slightly curved hem finished. I'll do the same thing on the neckline. I'm going to first add a point. So this is in the middle, so I'll add a point there. After the point is added, using the Add Anchor Point tool, then I will use the white arrow to select that point in the middle of the neck and then use the arrow key on your keyboard to move it down. I would just move it down about this much so that the front neck drop will be deep enough. My next goal is to curve the neckline so it'll be nicely shaped. So first I'm going to click on the line so I can see where the points are using the white arrow. And then I will click once on the anchor point tool, and then I will click and drag on top of the corner point with the anchor point tool in order to turn it into a smooth point. Once you see the handles come up, then you should press shift and keep dragging the handles until the neckline is nice and scooped out, and then let go. If the neckline is too high or too low, or if the neckline is not scooped out enough, then you can move the point or the directional handles in order to get a very nice shape for your front neckline. Next, I'm going to work on my back neckline. So I will use the white arrow, select the point in the middle of the front neckline, then I will hit Command C to copy, Command F, which is the same as edit, paste in front, and then I will hit Control J to join the 2 points. Next, I'm going to add 1 point in the middle using Add Anchor Point tool, like so, and then I can use the white arrow to select that point, move it down a little bit so I can create that back neck shape. And my last step will be to turn this corner point into a smooth point. So first I will use the white arrow, click on the line so I can see where my points are. Then I will click once on the convert tool or the anchor point tool. And then using the anchor point tool, I'm going to click and drag going to the left, and then I will press shift to constrain the handles to be straight. And then I will let go once I'm happy with the preview. So this looks good. The back neck is higher, the front neck is lower, and it's got a nice scooped out shape. At this point, I'm going to fill my shapes. So this will be white or light gray. This shape will be white or light gray. And then this shape will also be white or light gray. At this time I can make my back neck a darker shade of gray because it's behind. Next thing we're going to do is add top stitching. So let's start with the bottom. When you work on this top stitching, you're going to have your stroke panel displayed. So if you don't see your stroke panel, you go to Window, Stroke, and then you will display the stroke panel, which is what you're seeing right now. In particular, we're going to be looking at the dashed line options in order to create top stitching line. So step one, you always have to create the line that you wish to be a top stitching, and then you're going to turn it into a dashed line. So the easiest way is to copy and paste the line that you wish to turn into a top stitching. So I'm going to use the white arrow. Using the white arrow, I'm going to click on the point in the middle. So where is it? I'm going to click on a line, then I can see where the points are. So using the white arrow, I'm going to click on the point in the middle. So only the point in the middle will turn black because it's selected. So this will select that entire segment on each side of the point. Then I will go to Command C. Then I will go to Command F, which is Edit Paste in Front. And then I'm going to pull the line up using my arrow key. So I'm clicking on the arrow key on my keyboard to move it up. Next, I'm going to select No Fill for the top stitching line. And finally, I will now turn that line into top stitching. So the line is currently selected. So then I will click on the dashed line. It'll become dashed. And then for gap, I will enter 2, and for dash I will enter 2. So you're going to physically type in number 2 for dash and number 2 for gap. And then you're going to select 0.5 line weight. So to review, your top stitching has to be 0.5 line weight. The dash line will be turned on, and then 2 point for the dash and 2 point for the gap. So different books will tell you different information, but the best thing is Just print it out, see if you like it. If you don't like it, you can then change the dash and the gap and the line thickness accordingly to whatever you would prefer. So there is your top stitching. So when you are creating top stitching and setting up the dash line 0.5, you have to make sure that the line is selected. If the line is not selected, then it's not going to change the properties of your line. So next, we're going to do the same thing on your neckline. So for the neckline, I'm going to use the white arrow, select the point in the middle with the white arrow. Then I will hit Command C to copy, Command F to paste in front. Then I'm going to select No Fill. And then I will be able to hit the arrow key in order to move my line down. So this is pretty good, like that's enough down. And then I'm going to switch to black arrow, and then I will use the Alt key, press it down, and then I will stretch my bounding box on each side to widen it. So because I'm pressing the Alt key, I'm able to stretch the bounding box from the center. So when you do this, you press Alt key and then you stretch away the bounding box, and here you go. So now I'm going to drag the bounding box up without pressing Alt, and now I will press Alt Option key and then drag sideways away from the center in order to widen it. So you keep doing that. So when you're stretching sideways, you press Alt or Option key and then you stretch the bounding box sideways. Once it looks good, then you're done. So my final function will be to turn this into top stitching. So I could do the same thing as before. I could just select the line with the black arrow and then select 0.5 dash 2 by 2. But there is a faster way of doing it. So the faster way to turn this neckline into a top stitching is to use the eyedropper tool. So this is how the eyedropper tool works. You select the line that you want to change, and then you select the eyedropper tool, which is this one, and then you click on the target line, which is the top stitching line. So that'll turn my plain line into a top stitching line. So that's just a faster way to turn a plain line into a top stitching. If you don't like using the eyedropper, you can always just select the line with the black arrow and then go to 0.5 2 by 2 to change the line properties. The next thing we have to do is add top stitching at the back neck. So it will be doing the same thing as in the front. So you're going to use the white arrow. You're going to click on the midpoint in the middle of the neck. It'll turn black. Then you're going to go to Command C to copy, Command F to paste in front. Then I'm going to use No Fill, and then I will use the arrow key on my keyboard to make it go down. Once you're happy with how the distance, then you just have to use the eyedropper tool again. So since line is currently selected, I can just simply use the eyedropper right now. So I click on the eyedropper, I click on the target, and the property of the line will change into the top stitching line. So next I'm going to use scissors to cut off the portion of the line that I don't need. So this is fairly straightforward. You zoom in as much as you can, you use the scissors, and then you just simply cut your line where it needs to stop. So I would say this needs to stop here, so I'll cut it here, and then I can just hit delete to get rid of it. I'm going to press the space bar, so the space bar temporarily switches to hand. So I'm going to temporarily switch to hand and move over to the other side. Now I can let go. Then I will use the scissors. I will click on the line here, and then I can click on this portion of the line with the white arrow. So this has been cut off, and then I keep hitting delete to get rid of that portion. Now the final step is to put top stitching on your sleeve. So the easiest way to do that would be to use the line segment tool, and then you just drag a line across with the line segment tool. The best way would be to just reflect this to the other side. So I can just select this top stitching line and then click on the reflect. I can then click Alt Option click on the middle of the Judy and then click on vertical and click on copy, and then the top stitching will go to the other side. Now I'm done with my front view, so I'm going to select the black arrow, click and drag a bounding box with the black arrow in order to select all of this, and then I will go to right click group, or I can go to Command G or Control G in order to group the pieces together. So pieces are grouped together now, so they're going to move together as a unit. So I'm done with my front view. Next, I'm going to do the back view. So for the back view, I'm actually going to create a new layer. So I'm going to create a new layer, call it back view. And you may want to put the back view underneath the front view. So I can just drag the back view layer underneath. So now I have front view, back view, and Judy, as you can see. So I'm going to select now the front view, so I can go to edit copy and copy this shirt front. Then I will select the back view layer so that I can paste inside of the back view layer. There we go. So here's the back view pasted. So now I just have to make some modifications in order to create the back view. So I am in the back view layer, so I can start working on the modifications I need. So first I will use the white arrow, select the midpoint of my top stitching, and keep hitting delete until I get rid of the top stitching. Same here, you click on the midpoint of your top stitching and keep hitting delete until you get rid of it. So the next thing I'm going to do is combine the neck and the body. So we can use Pathfinder again in order to do that. So there's two ways you can do that. One thing is you can just ungroup everything by going to ungroup, or you can enter isolation mode. So isolation mode will allow you to work on certain pieces within a group without having to ungroup it. So the way you enter into an isolation mode is you double click, and then you see a little green line and a gray line come up. So that indicates that you're in the isolation mode. And so now I can work on any piece, even if it's grouped all together. Okay, so now I'm in the isolation mode. So while I'm in the isolation mode, I will click and drag with the black arrow to select the neckline and the body, but not the sleeves. Then I will click on unite. So then that'll unite the neck as well as the back body. So you're going to Pathfinder and you're clicking on the unite button. Now I can double click anywhere on the blank part of the artboard in order to exit the isolation mode, and now I'm back in the normal mode. So next so at this point you can again enter the isolation mode. So double click on the back of the shirt, then you will be able to just select the back of the shirt with the black arrow and then select the lighter gray color that you're supposed to have at the back. The other thing you should do is, while you're still in the isolation mode with the back selected, you can go right click and select arrange send to back. So this will allow the top stitching to show up because it was behind. And finally, the last step will be to just create a top stitching on the neck. So I can actually just exit the isolation mode just by double clicking anywhere inside of the empty part of the artboard. And then I will use the white arrow to select the point in the middle. I will select the point in the middle, it turns black. Then you go to Command C, Command F, and then move it down using the arrow key. You can press /forward to get rid of the fill, and you will use the eyedropper tool in order to select the top stitching as the target, and then the line will change to a dashed line. Finally, instead of stretching this, which would be a little bit too hard to do, I'm just going to use the pen tool and then connect to the edge, press Command to stop, and then connect by clicking on the point with the pen tool, and then I will click where the line should stop, which is at the shoulder. Then you press Command to discontinue the pen tool, and now you are finished. However, you can just move the object around and make sure that everything is grouped together. So I'm okay, and now I just have to save my file and I'm done. So that's it for the t-shirt tutorial.